I got me a rock and roll band, it's a free for all.
Hello, freebies, and welcome back inside the KFDX Plus studio for another edition of the Free-for-All podcast. Typically, I've got some company inside this very room, but on this day, I am riding solo. Mr. Chad Johnson, not with us. That's okay, though, because our resident football expert, the Burnett CISD athletic director, the man I always look up to, he's quite tall. Grant Freeman is here. Coach Free, just the two of us today. We're doing this thing 2 wide instead of 3 wide.
Is that a NASCAR reference?
Yes.
Chad was shooting NASCAR references at us the other day that I didn't understand.
Yes, that is a NASCAR reference. 2 cars versus, at the end of the race, they might go 3 cars or maybe sometimes even 4 wide if they're really battling.
That's no good. I don't think that's good.
Well, some might say 2 is better than 3. Some might say 3 is better than 2, but I'd say 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Would you be a NASCAR driver? Would you get in a NASCAR?
Heck no. I mean, I'd love to sit next to one as they drive me around the course at 120 miles an hour. That'd be a cool experience, but I ain't getting behind the wheel. You kidding me?
No.
First of all,
inches away going that fast.
I also don't think I could see over the steering wheel. Not when you're that low to the ground in a NASCAR vehicle.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I could fit in one either.
Your knees would be in the windshield.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, way off the rails. I guess sometimes some might say Chad keeps us on track. Anyway, episode 87.
Some would not say that. Some would not say that.
Some might. Episode 87 of the Free For All podcast. It's season 3, episode 22. As far as 87s go in the world of sports, Coach Free, I got one. He played for the New England Patriots. He was legendary with one Tom Brady. Of course, we're talking the tight end, Rob Gronkowski. Who comes to mind for you when you think of 87?
So probably Travis Kelce,
Yep.
Obviously another tight end in that era. But I'll tell you, and I know one that you'll think too, Sidney Crosby.
That's it.
I really think Sid the Kid is kind of in that upper echelon of hockey people, because I know who he is and know what number he is, and I don't follow hockey.
It's a good way to look at it. Yeah. He's obviously top of mind right now because the Olympics are underway. Plays for Team Canada. Actually got hurt last time out for the Canadians, so he is not going to be playing the rest of the Olympic run. But I have heard reports that come the end of the NHL season, he should be healthy, for the Penguins. But of course, yes, Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid wears 87. Couple of names to throw at you: Dwight Clark and Dave Casper also wore 87.
Dwight Clark, he falls down and breaks his leg.
Oh, no.
Jumps up and tries to make a catch. Danny White was my hero, and then that happened. Like, Danny White combo punter and quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and then freaking catch. And anyways, that's another deal.
Yeah.
I mentioned Kevin Dyson whenever you first said 87 off air. Kevin Dyson caught the Music City Miracle for the Titans.
Was he a tight end? Or a receiver?
No, he was the receiver. In fact, he was the receiver in the Super Bowl that year against the Rams, the greatest show on turf, that caught it at the end on the slant and was reaching, the famous, him reaching to try to win the game.
Yeah.
It was a little bit short.
How about that? I think of 87, and I usually, think tight ends, but certainly receivers, could pop 87 as well. Who's the first one you said? Something White? Did you say Danny White?
Danny White was number 11. Dwight Clark he made the catch in the catch game. Danny White had just drove the Cowboys down to score to go to the Super Bowl, and then the dadgum catch happened.
Yeah. So that was no bueno, as they say.
No.
All right, we got a lot to talk about this week, but first, let me thank our sponsor here on the show. Of course, it's our friends over at Macaulay Landscapes, proudly serving Wichita Falls for more than 2 decades now. Their services include lawn maintenance, landscaping, irrigation, repair, and so much more. Visit them online, MacaulayLandscapes.com, or pick up the phone, give them a call, 940-632-5346. Patrick and his guys get you hooked up with anything you need. The Free-for-All relies on Macaulay Landscapes, and you should too. All right, Coach Free. So I mentioned we don't have Chad with us today, so it's just the two of us. I put some stuff on the rundown that I'd like to get into, but first things first, give us an update. What's new in Burnett CISD athletics? I noticed I looked at the UIL brackets. The boys basketball team headed to the postseason.
Yeah, boys had a kind of weird start to the year. It started out like 1-7, and then really rallied and played really good basketball of late. They got into the playoffs, beat some teams here, obviously in our area, and then we match up next week with Waco La Vega at 6:00 at Little River Academy. I'm learning all the places down here. That's closer to Temple, I believe.
Okay.
And so it's going to be a great night. Waco La Vega, really good basketball team. We're playing really well right now as well. So interested to see that. Obviously we've got soccer going on. Our girls soccer team is, I think they finished the first round of district, which, just so you know, our district is so large in soccer. We started district from game 1.
Wow.
And we essentially play one round against like another, like a part of the district, and then we play another set of the district 2 rounds. That's how large we are.
Okay.
I think our girls finished in second place around the first round of district there. And so we're playing really well. We lost our best goal scorer. She got a Liz Frank injury. And so coaches had to put in a lot of young girls there. Our boys are, I think they're sitting in 4th right now. I think they have 17 freshmen up. We graduated heavy last year. Both teams in playoff contention. And then today is our very first track meet. They're going to Gatesville. I got to finish last week at the state swim meet because we had swimmers and divers there. And we also have tennis going on. We've got all kinds of stuff going on around the hill country here.
I want to get into swim here in just a second because we know you're a noted swim enthusiast. But holy cow, I just pulled up your soccer district, and you're right. Holy cow! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 teams. That's nuts.
How about that?
That is nuts. Holy cow!
So don't quote me on this fully, but the way I understand it is we actually split it like a conference would in the NCAA.
Okay.
So we play the other conference one time, like the other part of our district one time, and then we play our half of the conference twice. And that's your year.
So that's 15 district games? Holy cow.
Correct.
Wow.
And it's all a point system.
Yeah, and then you start getting into, okay, you went to overtime, but you lost in PKs, you still get the point instead of the full thing. Yeah.
Wild.
Whew. Okay, anyway, I thought I haven't seen anything like that, 11-team districts, for soccer or anything like that. I haven't seen it for football either, but beside the point, noted swim enthusiast, you have talked back when you were working in Wichita Falls, you loved the state swim meet, so tell us about your experience there with the Burnett Bulldogs.
Yeah, last week we had 2 of our relays competing, and then we had divers, and it's opened up a whole new world to me as well. But our relays are competing in San Antonio. It is the most intense thing because the manner in which this arena sits, it's like a 2-story thing, and so you actually kind of sit up and you're looking down on the pool. So all of the fans and everybody is up top, and then all the competitors are down on the bottom level where the pool is, and it is packed, standing room only. It's intense, and those kids are so fired up. Yeah. And it is actually, if you've never been, I highly suggest you go. It is so much fun to watch those kids get to compete. It's really just like the Olympics, with the exception of it's a 2-story deal with people screaming and yelling straight down everywhere. This year was new for me because we had a diver compete in the dive. I've never seen dive. Like we did not have dive in Wichita Falls.
Correct.
Or anywhere else I've been. And that's a whole nother level of chaos because they have to lay the dives like the diving boards out. It's a total different like setup of the pool. Okay. And it's just as intense with one person going at a time. So it's wild that sometimes they can have, instead of the high dive, they can have the lower boards going at the same time, multiple people going, but it's a lot of fun. That's all I can tell you. And so I was proud of our kids. They represented Burnett really well. It's swim is highly competitive and highly charter based.
Okay.
There are a couple of academies in the San Antonio and Austin area that are only swim academies that compete in UIL. And so it's a very competitive, it's a very 4A is very competitive.
So take me through this diving thing. Is this similar to what we see in the Olympics, where maybe they're like flipping as they go into the water and have to land perfect?
Yeah, so there's judges, and it's based on, again, are you a springboard, are you a high dive, are you different meters or whatever. And so our competitor was in the 1 meter or maybe in the 5 meter springboard. So it was, they're judged. It's essentially exactly like the Olympics.
Okay.
And so only so many make it per event, and then they go through whatever dive they're going to do, and it's ranked like how the difficulty is, and then they rank them on how they perform it.
How much money would you need to get up there on the high board and dive down in there?
There's not an amount.
No price.
I mean, I would need to be looking like Scrooge McDuck swimming in his vault.
I would pay to see it. Let's put it that way. So if anyone wants to start gathering a GoFundMe to get Coach Free to jump, I'm in.
So, obviously we have a natatorium here, and we have a high dive, because we compete in it. So the kids keep asking if I'll come out, and even just looking at it just makes me not happy about it.
What does 6'5" or whatever you are flipping into the water kind of look like? Is that put together?
Bad. It looks bad.
It's bad.
It looks bad. Like, in fact, if you remember, before I left, Chad was having me do like swim events and stuff like that against the kids. I can't imagine what dive would even begin to look like.
Yeah, infamous footage exists of you doing the freestyle right against Connor Higginbotham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You diving is a whole. I couldn't do it either. Don't get me wrong. I definitely couldn't.
No.
But I'm also not 6'6", and
it's way up there.
It is.
It is way up there.
Oh man. Okay, so that leads us into the spring, and baseball and softball are underway too.
Baseball and softball are underway. We're at tournaments this weekend. Obviously, we host big tournaments here in the next couple of weeks, and we host a big middle school and high school track meet the week that Wichita Falls is on spring break, but we're a week later. So we host a really big event. That's one of the things that we do love to do here at Burnett is we host a tournament and or a meet and or an event in every single sport that we have. And so I've brushed up on my tournament hosting knowledge. Sure. I mean, obviously we hosted regional tournaments and things of that nature in the past, but in Wichita, but this is a new level of it. I'll put it that way. So we host an event a lot.
Do y'all have wrestling at Burnett?
We do not have wrestling. We've talked about it. We have, we compete in a lot more sports at our middle school than we ever did at Wichita. We offer golf and soccer and swim and dive and tennis all the way down to the middle school level, which we did not do in Wichita. So I'm having to learn some of that stuff. We've talked about wrestling. We're trying to figure it out. There's not a lot around us that do, so we're not sure where we would compete.
Sure. And that's interesting just because the WFISD here locally is adding wrestling in the future. And we just had a girl from Henrietta, actually. Granted, Henrietta 3A school, but they compete at the 5A level because that's kind of as small as it gets for the UIL stuff. She just won state last week in the 135-pound weight category, Shelby Coyle from Henrietta. So congratulations, of course, going out to her. All right, let's talk about some regional, some national stuff. Have you watched any Olympics coverage, Coach Free?
Not 1 second.
Really? Okay. Well, as we record, I'll be happy to let you know that the United States is playing Canada in the gold medal game of the Women's Hockey Championships. And Americans down 1-0, middle of the third period. So still plenty of time, but trying to get our butts in gear and maybe tie this game up, see if we can hopefully win it. U.S. and Canada always play each other in hockey in the championships for the most part, specifically on the women's side. As for the men's side, U.S. is still playing in the semifinals. I want to say they play on tomorrow, Friday. Is that right, MJ? Yeah. They play.
Didn't they have to win in overtime to get there?
They did. And so did Canada in the quarterfinals. So both teams were tied in regulation and had to win in OT. Now we're into the semifinals. The United States plays Slovakia Friday, the 20th, 2:10 in the afternoon, if you want to check that game out. But the reason I ask you about the Olympic watching habits, and I'm sad the answer is no, but you'll love to know this. There has been a scandal in the world of curling. You know what curling is, right?
Oh, that guy touched it.
Yes.
He touched the thing.
The double touch. The old double touch of the rock. Yeah. So this got major headlines here. The Canadians accused of cheating in curling. It leads me down a line of questioning. You do know what curling is, so I'm glad to hear that. Would you be interested in taking up curling? Is that a coach-free sport?
Yes, but I would have to be the person that pushes it. I'm not doing the broom thing.
You're not brooming. Okay.
No, I'm not a sweeper or whatever those things are.
That's it. Sweeper.
But I could get in that position, with my feet behind me, like Spider-Man position, and I could roll that thing.
Yeah.
I have been known to shuffleboard with the best of them.
Okay.
So you just put me on ice and give me a big old thing, and we're ready to go.
Just don't double touch the rock because that's illegal. Once you let go, you can't touch it again.
Yeah, but that was only accusatory. Did they get DQ'd? I haven't
think,
heard anything past that.
I don't think there was any DQ, but there's video evidence that shows the gentleman's finger is in the vicinity of the rock. And unclear if he makes contact with it, but once you let go of the handle, you're not allowed to touch the granite, and he's close. He's close.
I'll keep that in mind as my curling career begins.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any ice sheets in the hill country, but certainly you could find one to set up a curling rink.
It doesn't even get below freezing here, so I can't
Indoors.
imagine that we would have that.
You can set the AC inside anyway. Okay, so Olympics, swing and a miss. What about the golf? The season has started for 2026. Have you watched? I mean, Pebble Beach was last week. Did you get to see any of that?
You already know the answer to that. So the only bad thing about Pebble Beach last week is I was driving back from Wichita down to Burnet as Scotty decided he wanted to eagle 3 times on his way to trying to come all the way back from 9 shots down. But I do love this West Coast swing too, because you have the Genesis this week at Riviera. You had Pebble last week, which I love Pebble. I especially love it when it's a U.S. Open venue, not so much as the actual just the normal tournament.
Sure.
You had obviously Phoenix, the Waste Management, and so it's a great swing when they swing Arizona out, and then here after this one after the Genesis, I believe they start hitting the Florida kick, getting ready for the Players, and then get ready for they hit Texas before the Masters. So I always watch. I'm shocked. Shocked is not the right word, but I'm just interested in how Scotty right now in the last couple of years is reminding me of Tiger in the early 2000s.
I'm so glad you said that because Scotty is just on this absolutely incredible tear. The number 1 golfer in the world, has been for however many weeks in a row now, won all these tournaments, Ryder Cup, obviously. He's at the top of his game. He is playing at a level that Tiger played at, 15 years ago when he was younger and more healthy. But Scotty went to a press conference this week, as he does every week, and he was asked a very simple question. Scotty, how do you measure yourself? How good are you? And he had this to say, and I thought it was just a great answer from a young golfer who's striving for greatness.
When you talk about how hard you work to get good at this game, how do you measure how good you are?
I have no idea, Doug. I have no idea.
Is it scores? Is it trophies? Is it stats? I mean, how do you know you're good?
I don't. That's one thing. That's why we keep practicing. You never get to a place where you feel like you got it figured out. And I always like practicing and trying to improve and creating new shots. I think golf is kind of the endless pursuit of trying to figure something out. And I mean, I'm never going to get there, but there's no harm in trying.
It's an interesting perspective to hear somebody who is so good, has won so many millions, so many trophies, so many tournaments, to say, yeah, I'm chasing something that is basically unattainable, and that is, the game of golf.
I think it's really interesting, especially in individual athletes like golf, like tennis, like some of those other, like swim or some of those track athletes, but especially in golf, just because he's kind of right. I think you can have so many iterations of yourself, and you can come out even in a round and think you found it and then lose it and then find it again. And it's so unique. And then, what we saw with Tiger over the years is how many times he changed his swing. Imagine if he just left his swing alone, what he would have looked like.
Sure.
But that's the thing is, you play the course and you play yourself so much more than you play an opponent. And I just think that that's so unique to it's the proper perspective because,
Yeah.
at some point you're going to get, you kind of, you lose the competitive fire. So you have to be constantly attempting to improve or go play this course better or something to that nature. And so that's why individual sports are so unique, and it takes a very special person to succeed at those.
I'm just so impressed too by how humble he is with that statement too. It's like, yeah, I'm never gonna get there. Well, if you ain't gonna get there, Scotty, nobody is, and nobody will, because so many people try to beat you week in and week out, day in and day out, and they don't come close. So it's crazy.
I do think what's interesting specifically with Scotty as opposed to Tiger had like the Michael Jordan, like, I want to rip your heart out. Scotty seems to be like a good guy that doesn't have that. He's more competitive with just shooting the score.
Yeah.
Tiger actually wanted to destroy and humiliate the people around him.
Intimidate,
Like, he wanted to be dominant.
Yeah.
Scotty wants to be great. Tiger wanted to be dominant, and I think that's those are two very different things.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point too, because at the end of the day, you are playing the course and you're playing yourself. But they talk about what was that Masters that Tiger came back from like 6 strokes on the back 9, and he was playing alongside somebody, and he was doing just that. He was intimidating and in turn dominating. Golf is so much less likely to be in that scenario, though, that I wonder how much that trade is beneficial versus not.
He compares more to Jack Nicklaus than he does Tiger Woods, I believe.
Okay. All right. I like it. So anyway, the Genesis is this week in California. Last week, of course, we talked about Pebble Beach.
Tiger's event, by the way.
Yes.
Tiger's event, by the way.
And I heard Tiger did press conference this week. Of course, he had, his 7th back surgery. He's still laid up. He hasn't been playing, even in his indoor golf league, he hasn't been playing in TGL. But Tiger did not rule out a potential return at the Masters. I'll have to see it to believe it. The more cool thing to me, though, Tiger confirmed he was asked to be the Ryder Cup captain for 2027. And he hasn't said yes, but he hasn't said no. So hopefully, 2027, we got to go overseas and play the Europeans. So hopefully maybe Tiger can be a Ryder Cup captain.
I hope he'll play on the Champions Tour, to be honest. I think rolling him out on the
50
PGA
yet?
anymore.
How old is he?
Yeah, he's 50.
Okay.
I'd like to see him, or he's about to turn 50.
Just did, back in December, yep.
I'd like to see him compete on the Champions Tour a little bit so that he can be competitive. I'm just not sure outside of the Masters, because it's a golf course he understands so well. I just don't think he can ever be what we think he could be again.
Sure. And he's not hitting it as far as he used to just because his body's breaking down. And we know on the PGA Tour, it's all about distance, right? The Bryson DeChambeau effect, right? Swing as hard as you can, hit it as far as you can, score as low as you can. So anyway, hopefully that works out for Mr. Tiger Woods, and we can see him leading the Ryder Cup team in 2027. All right. College basketball, Coach Free. I don't know if we've talked about Mick Cronin a lot on this podcast, have we?
Not a fan. Didn't like him at Cincinnati. Remember when they got in a fight with somebody? I've just never been a fan.
Yeah, so first off, he ejected one of his own players this week, which that's actually not even what we're talking about. But his player fouled somebody hard, and he basically kicked him off the court. I think, if that's correct, how it went down. But the clip I pulled is a post-game interview with Mick Cronin after they lost. I think they lost by 25 points to Michigan State, and he went to his press conference, which not even at a podium. It was kind of weird. It's like a post-game in the middle of a hallway. So let's have a listen, and then I want to break it down, and I want to ask you a larger question too about what this kind of means for the world of media versus coaching. So let's have a listen, and then we'll break it down.
What was your thought in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's about the other team's student section.
I just meant overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you
talking
are.
to you.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
All right. You're a coach. We've listened to coaches give questionable answers in press conferences before. What's your take on this?
I don't like Mick Cronin. I don't like the way he interacts with people in general. I don't disagree with him that that's a dumb question, but just answer it and move on. Like, because by giving that question all of the life that he just did, he made the question more than what it was. Like, again, I never pay attention to anybody's student section. That's not for me to pay attention to. I agree. I don't like the question, but again, you gave it life by your answer and the manner in which you handled it and handled the person that's on the other side of it, who's a professional just like you are. And I've always had a problem, you know this, and I don't say this because you and I are friends. I say this because I think you have an opportunity to represent yourself in your program anytime you step in front of a mic, and how you treat people, how you respect them professionally, because again, that's their professional job to ask you those questions as well. If you don't like the question, just briefly answer it and move on.
Yeah. I didn't watch the game. I don't know what the student section was like, but I do know that Mick Cronin didn't even let him finish the question. He said, he was saying something along the lines of, what were your thoughts on the student section as they were chanting? And then Mick Cronin comes in and says, I don't give a rat's bleep about the student section. Coulda, shoulda, woulda left it there. To attack the person asking the question, I think is very questionable. I mean, doesn't care, clearly, zero care about his reputation. Very abrasive, first of all, just as a human. We've seen this before. This isn't the first instance of this with Mick Cronin. I would even go as far as to say maybe trying to intimidate or bully the person asking the question. And then are you raising your voice at me? Did you think the person was raising their voice?
But what does that matter? Like, he's not above or beneath you. I mean, like, what does that matter?
Sure, it doesn't matter, but he didn't do it either. He's like, he says, that's the worst question I've ever been asked. And the guy kind of chuckles and goes, all right, I'll take it. Yeah, you should take it. Are you raising your voice at me? I'm like, this is just crazy behavior to me. I don't understand it. First of all, I get being mad after you just got blown out by 25 on the road. Should the question have probably been asked, Mick, what were your thoughts on the atmosphere tonight inside the arena? Yeah.
Probably a little better phrasing.
Sure. And you might still get, I don't give a rat's bleep about the atmosphere. Sure.
But again, you know this too, MJ. Like, I think, why are you asking the question? Like, what you're wanting you don't want one word answers, or you don't want minimum, like, kind of stuff like that. You want elaborate, like, that's the part of an interview, is asking questions that elicit an elaborate response. Like, that's why I didn't like the question.
Sure.
That it's just so, like, there are people who are good at asking questions and generating conversation.
Yeah.
And that's not something that generates a response that you're going to want anyways.
I think there's probably missing context on my end as far as what impact did, from this journalist's perspective, what impact did the crowd have on the game? Clearly they were chanting something, whether it was a personal attack on a player or a coach or whatever. I don't know. Again, I didn't watch the game. But for whatever reason, this person asking the question thought that student section had a direct impact on the game and wanted to get an answer of whether the coach felt that way as well.
Yeah, and I think this leads into a larger conversation. I think the part of the hard part is coaches, that is a very broad spectrum of people, and reporters are a very broad spectrum of people. There are some you like, there are some that that coaches like. There are bad coaches out there, there are bad reporters out there. I don't like it when they all get washed into one.
Yeah. And
there are reporters that you're more comfortable with answering questions. I think one of the things that why podcasting has become so much more popular is it becomes a conversation. A question and answer session is kind of a setting that is very different, or like I like the podcasting part of it because it shows the context, like you talk about.
Yeah.
It allows for conversation instead of just straight question answer session. And I think you get more. I think you get more personality from people. I think you get more of the behind the scenes or the context that's kind of filled in the blanks through that. But yeah, that was tough. And again, Mick Cronin's been notorious for that.
Exactly.
Just a notorious not fun guy to be around.
So here's my question. Let's extrapolate a little bit. I understand you're not head football coach in the NFL with the demands of media on a national scale. I understand you're not Mick Cronin. You're not coaching in the NCAA Division I, trying to win national championships. But you are a coach. You have dealt with media. You have coaching friends who have done the same. Generally speaking, I'm curious about this as a person on the other end. What is your take on the perception of the media by the coaching profession?
Yeah, I think that some coaches, the general perception is they don't like answering. It's why you get coach speak. They don't like answering the same questions from well, let me say it in this way. In any given press conference, there's 10 people there, there's 3 people there, there's multiple people there generally. So unfortunately, there's only so many questions to ask and only so many ways to ask the same question. So they get frustrated in answering versions of the same question multiple times. They don't like to repeat themselves. I think it's also, but the perception of the media is not a poor one, but there are definitely personality conflicts with certain people. And that goes both ways. There are personality conflicts on the reporter side. There are personality conflicts on the coach side. Were there questions that I got asked from quote unquote friends in the media that I didn't like? Yeah,
sure.
But I still answered them respectfully and it went on. And then maybe talked off camera about those things. And I was always more comfortable with people that were around my program more, that are around the program more. And so have a context or understand kind of me and what we're trying to accomplish. I didn't like, and I think this is where they get more of that. They get more of the national or regional audience that it's not their audience, that ask questions that they just have short tempers with. Yeah. I know, and a great example with that is I had to do when we went to the state quarters and they broadcast the game on that one, and they broadcast it live. I had to do like multiple media spots that week with the team that was broadcasting the game. Okay. And then I had to do the live halftime walking in interview. And just the questions that came from them were just so off base, not knowing anything, not doing any research about us and our program, as opposed to if you and I are walking in, or Tobin and I are walking in, or some Jonathan Hall or somebody, Zach, anybody that I was used to from there, right, would have asked or phrased. Yeah, there's just a comfort level there that makes it makes me want to answer the question a lot better. And that's the purpose to me of media, is to get them, get your personality and get the proper questions answered.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me. And I recognize this as a journalist, as a member of the media. Back in the day, right, before these social medias and everyone had a phone or a podcast, right, what was the media? Very simple. It was the conduit between the team, the athlete, the coach, and the fans. Now, at a base level, it still is that today. However, coaches, players, teams, they have their own autonomy now to reach the fan audience that they didn't have before through podcasts, through social medias, through whatever, And I do wonder, and I don't have the answer, but I do wonder how that changing landscape of direct to fan versus through the person who can get close to the player, to the fan, if that makes sense, that chain of command, so to speak. I do wonder how that has impacted the relationship because, for example, if a coach or a player, wants to get messages to fans, but either doesn't trust or doesn't like or doesn't want a middleman, do you see how that could kind of jade it a little bit?
Yeah, I think there's so many people around all of these people now, and having to be the mouthpiece so many times, that there's just so much access. There's so much access at that level to people, even down at the high school level here in the state of Texas. There's just tons of access and even kids access. And so do I think it affects it? Yeah, I really do think it affects it. I think the other thing to it is, some people are just don't want to let people on the inside. A famous example for me is Belichick. He was traditionally prickly with the media and very short with the media. And then he got out for a year and did media, and he was brilliant. Yes. He was absolutely great working at the media. And it's like, if you would have just done this, the whole perception of you would have been totally different.
Yeah.
And he's right back to it now that he's coaching again. Like, I just, he's so engaging that year that he was in media. It's so engaging, so articulate, did really good at expressing and painting pictures. And it's just like, why could you not do that before?
Yeah. Didn't want to, didn't care to, didn't have the time to. Who knows what the answer is for him? But you're right, he was so good in the media. So I'll wrap up this part of the discussion by saying this. When I was a student journalist at Quinnipiac covering the hockey team, the men's hockey coach, Rand Packnold, he could be a little, not even close to Belichick, not even close to Mick Cronin, don't get me wrong, but he could be a little, I guess, tense about it. Now, granted, like you said, we were student journalists, but we thought of ourselves as professionals and trying to grow into professionals, working alongside professionals. We were also regulars. They had media availability every Monday. We were there, beat reporting essentially on this team. And I think looking back on it now, having been in the industry for 6 years, maybe as a student journalist, I felt a little more intimidated when you got an answer that was a little bit standoffish. Whereas now, looking back, I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't think he was being deliberately mean, but I do think he was maybe safeguarding some certain things, certain times. And just looking back on the college career covering that team, it's like, okay, I get it a little more now. And maybe that's naiveness on my end. But I guess just with more life experience, you start to understand it. I don't think any of it was ill-willed, but I think it was part of his gig.
Yeah, and I do want to say this too. Like, there's a flow to press conferences, and there's a flow to answering questions. And when you do get a one-off that you're not expecting, sometimes you don't know how you'll react.
True.
Like, I do think that was a one. I don't think he was expecting that question too, because I don't feel like that's a question he thought he was going to get asked.
Right.
And so sometimes you are a one-off, and I'll paint that from the other side of it. One of the things whenever I was going back through college, I did sideline reporting for the radio. And so when you're a sideline reporter, man, you've got all of these notes and all these things that you're thinking about. And I want to say on my next hit, I want to say this on my next hit, I want to bring this up. And then I would get thrown down from the booth down, and they would ask me a very specific question and had nothing to do with anything that I prepared for. And they'd ask me a specific question about something that was going on directly in front of me. And I would kill those questions. I would destroy those questions. They were so, I sounded like an idiot because I had spent the 5 minutes prior to my hit thinking about what I was going to say and prepping all this stuff. And then they would give me something totally out of the blue, and it's weird. It's hard. And that kind of summarizes it. Like, when you get a question and your brain's not in that flow, or it's something totally out of the flow, it's really hard to just pivot.
Yeah. To bring that full circle, it makes me wonder, what impact, if any, did that student section have on the game? Why did the reporter think it did? And did it or did it not? And even if it did the coach not want to address it because it did have an impact, or did he, not like this reporter? I don't know. There's so many unknowns here, but good discussion. Thank you for the insight. I was just curious, as someone on this side, what it's like on that side, so to speak. All right, let's see. Oh, by the way, I forgot to play the stinger. That segment we just talked about was our trademark segment.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Nothing like playing it after the fact, right? I meant to play it on the way into the soundbite, and I totally forgot. Okay, Chad is going to be quite mad because I have had this question on our rundown for 3+ months, and we just never really, it was kind of a question that can be placed at any time. It has nothing to do with any of the stuff we just talked about. It's just an interesting question that I think I probably heard on TikTok or social media, and then I wanted to ask it to Coach Free. But Chad's going to be mad because he's seen it on the rundown, and of course we're diving into it the day that he's not on the podcast. So here is the question. Coach Free, if you took over The Tonight Show as the host for one night, who would you want on your show as guests? You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, probably not more than 4.
So I would love to do The Tonight Show. I think that actually fits this is like really in my wheelhouse. Just in general, I would love to be the host of The Tonight Show.
Okay.
So
I can see you doing that, by the way. I can
would
absolutely see you doing that.
Yeah, there would be two. It would be two athletes. So Tiger and Michael.
Okay.
Jordan
Okay.
for me. Then I would want Bill Simmons, legendary sports and pop culture guy. I really like him. Love listening to his stuff. I love hearing all about his take on sports and just culture. And then I would actually want like a former president, and I don't even care which one.
Okay.
Obama, Biden, Bush, Clinton, any of them. I would love to speak and hear from one of those. But Tiger and Jordan are for sure locks for me.
I like that. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of the president route. That's a good one. So I've obviously I've had more time than you to craft my answer because I knew it was on the rundown. And you notably, infamously, have never once looked at the rundown for the show. Not a bad thing, by the way. We get your genuine takes.
I don't even know how to. I don't think y'all even share it with me anymore.
Let's see if you are. That's actually a good question. Your Wichita Falls Independent School District email is the one that's shared. So no,
That's shut down.
You're right. It is shut down. You are not shared. So I retract my snide comment about you not reading it. But the point does stand. You do not read it, which I think honestly is a good thing because we get your raw takes. Anyway, I'm rambling now. MJ, if you were the Tonight Show host for one night, who would you want on your show as guests? I have one athlete, my dad's favorite athlete of all time, Wayne Gretzky. I would want 99 on there.
Okay.
The great one. I would also want my two favorite, or my two inspirations, idols, people I look up to in the sports media industry, Scott Van Pelt. And, well, honestly, this is actually kind of a cheat answer. When I was growing up, it was Bob Costas. Now it's Mike Tirico, who is essentially the new Bob Costas, the do-it-all guy for NBC. Yeah. So Tirico, Costas, either one, both would be great. And then, very... probably, I don't want to say little known fact, but I'm not sure how many people know this. I am a massive, massive fan of Carrie Underwood. I love Carrie Underwood. I love her theme song intro for Sunday Night Football. I put it on my Snapchat every week, waiting all day for Sunday night. She's married to a hockey player, Mike Fisher, used to play for the Nashville Predators. So maybe it's the hockey in me, and I love Carrie Underwood. I love her watching her on TV with, American Idol and all that stuff that she does. So Carrie Underwood, Scott Van Pelt, Wayne Gretzky, and Mike Tirico / Bob Costas, or both.
That'd be a good show.
I think it would.
Because you have the entertainment. She could sing, and see, I didn't bring that piece. I don't know what games I'd play with them like Fallon does either.
Yeah, I didn't go that far. I'm going to do something we've never done before. I'm going to call Chad Johnson just because I know he's going to be so mad we talked about this without him. Yeah, I'm just going to call him live and see if I think he's driving back from...
Were they at is he at like a conference or something?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Chad, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I got you live on the Free-for-All right now just for a quick little 30-second bit. Because I knew you'd be very mad. We got to the Tonight Show question, and Coach Free gave his answer, and I gave mine. So I knew I wouldn't live this down if you didn't get a chance to ask it or to answer it as well. So Chad Johnson, if you were the Tonight Show host for one night, who would you want on your show as guests?
Grant Freeman. Does that count as an answer?
Sure. It's not what I was looking for, but it works. Who else?
No, let me go. Let me think. It's a good question.
Okay, I'll give you some context. So give you a second to think. My answers were Carrie Underwood, Scott Van Pelt, Wayne Gretzky, and Mike Tirico. And then Coach Free said Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, a former president. He didn't specify, maybe like a Obama or a Bush. And Coach Free, who was the fourth one, did you say?
Bill Simmons.
And Bill Simmons was his fourth one. So those are some names. Okay. That's the scale we went. Who would be on your show?
Okay, Dan Patrick, not the lieutenant governor, the sportscaster.
Okay.
Nolan Ryan, obviously.
Yep.
And George W. Bush.
There you go. I love it. I just knew you'd be so mad if we finally, after 3+ months of this being on the rundown, if we finally got to it and did it the day you weren't here. So thanks for answering the phone.
I'm glad to feel included.
You're very welcome. Hopefully you'll watch the show back. We're about to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes. So thanks for your time. Safe travels back from wherever you were, Galveston.
Probably wrapping up on time without me there too, right?
A little bit easier, some might say. All right, Chad. Thanks, brother. See ya.
See ya.
First ever live call-in
All right,
to
you
the
got-
free-for-all.
I was gonna say you got to recap because I only got bits and pieces.
Sure. So Chad Johnson, he basically, first he said, can he have Grant Freeman on his show? And I said, that's kind of an answer, but kind of not really. But
He'll have to book me. I don't. I have an appearance fee.
wait. Breaking news. You have appearance fees? Oh, we haven't paid you once for this
Yes.
podcast.
That's true.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing a note. So, Chad Johnson said that he would want on his show if he was the host of The Tonight Show, George W. Bush. So he also went former president. Interesting. I don't know if you guys thought about that telepathy or what. I personally, like
I don't care about specific one. I just want a former president.
Okay. He also said Nolan Ryan, which makes 100% sense as a former, not former, current Ranger historian that Chad is. So Nolan Ryan makes 100% sense. And then he said Bill Simmons, not Bill Simmons, that's who you said. He said Dan Patrick, not the lieutenant governor, the sports media mogul, if you will.
Who's retiring, I think, isn't he?
Is Dan Patrick retiring, really?
I think that's what they were been talking about the last few days on the show. This is the last. He's like finishing up this year and going to be done.
I did not know that. What a career. I mean, holy cow. I can't wait to see the recap of his career. So anyway, that's your riddle / brain teaser / trivia question of the week right there, which has been on the rundown for weeks and weeks and months and months. And if you're listening at home, think about who would be on your Tonight Show. I guess ultimately the question really is, who is your Mount Rushmore of big-time guests that you'd like to talk to? Really, that's what the question is, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, again, and it's not your most favorite people. Like, you need good conversation on the Tonight Show.
For sure. Yeah. You don't want someone who's, for lack of a better term, a dud. Let me give you an update of something we talked about earlier today on this podcast, which is the United States versus Canada women's ice hockey gold medal game. I don't want to put this on the screen, even though I have it here on my phone, because I think that's probably not allowed as far as rules and regulations go. The United States scored the game-tying goal in the final 4 minutes, and now the U.S. and Canada head to overtime, tied at 1-1.
USA.
That's coming from a guy who doesn't care about the Olympics or about hockey. Right there.
I care about our country, though.
Yes, you do. Dang right you do.
I would tell you that I think that's the first time we broke news on the free-for-all.
Yeah, that did you break anything about when the schools were being built or when stuff was, I don't know. Breaking news.
I don't know, but I think that was real-time breaking news.
Here's the problem. We're not live on this podcast. We're recorded, so when it goes up and gets posted on YouTube in an hour from now, the game will already be over. Yeah, hand on head. All right, Coach Free, anything else on your end for this week on the Free for All podcast?
No, I think we've covered it this week. We did a good job, just you and me. Miss Chad. And so I'm sure that Chad, I'm glad that Chad got a call in, the very first call-in caller.
First ever.
Other than when he did it last time, and the problem with the one time that he called in,
That's
that we
right.
he couldn't hear us and we could hear him, but he couldn't hear us, and so that was a nightmare.
And that
was a nightmare show.
We weren't here in the KFDX Plus studio. We were still in our old shop over at the Career Education Center, and it was just it didn't work. It didn't work.
That's correct. That was a bad day for the free-for-all.
It's always a good day when Macaulay Landscape sponsors our show, though, so thank you to Patrick and his guys for everything they do here on the show. Lawn care, landscaping, irrigation repair, and so much more. They will get you hooked up with whatever you need. Visit them online, MacaulayLandscapes.com. That's MCCAULEY, landscapes.com. Or if you're old-fashioned and you don't use the interweb and you use the landline phone, give them a call, 940-632-5346. The free-for-all relies on Macaulay Landscapes, and of course, you should too. Do me a favor go ahead.
Patrick, get down here. I got a new house. I need you to work on it.
Oh, does he travel to burn it?
He needs to. Got a new house. I need some landscaping.
Have you moved into said new house yet?
No.
Okay, so you're in the process.
Still finishing up being built and getting ready for all of that. But I need a landscaper.
I didn't realize it was a new build.
It's on the golf course. You know me, MJ.
Oh, dang right. Look at this guy. He don't mess around. And we don't mess around either when it comes to following us on the social medias. Facebook, the Free For All Pod, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at FreeForAll_pod. And if I could make a request here, I got a hard time from my boss, Tobin McDuff, the other day because he was watching our show and he went to YouTube to watch it and he pulled up Free For All or the Free For All Pod on YouTube. And he was kind of disappointed. Maybe disappointed isn't the right word. I'm going to pull it up just to show you how bleak, again, not the right word right here. See this Free For All podcast right here. This is where Tobin was. And he was like, wait a minute. In 87 episodes, the growth that you guys have, you only have 15 subscribers? And I'm like, oh my God.
It's because we switched.
Thank you.
Remember, we used to put it off on something else.
We used to put it on the WFISD Athletics YouTube page. So when we switched, we lost all of those loyal viewers. So what I'm asking is for anyone who watches our show now, please subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. It helps with our reach a lot, more than you know.
Well, that and my social media got hacked and I had thousands of followers. And so, again, tell Tobin, don't worry. We're about to get that fixed.
Speaking of your social media being hacked, every week when I post the podcast to YouTube and then upload it to Facebook, I tag Chad and I tag myself, and there is no Coach Free to tag because he's been hacked away.
After being hacked, I was done. I'm done with it.
Well, that's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. Sometimes social media can be...
We're going to get the people back. We're getting the people back. Don't worry.
Here's an ultimatum. We have 15 subscribers. If we don't have 16, that's only one. If we don't have one more by the time we record next week, then bad things are going to happen.
Tell Tobin not to worry. I'm waiting. I'm waiting on my next Tobin appearance. I miss Tobin.
All right, I will get him in the pipeline as far as coming on the show soon, and then you can call him out for calling us out about our lack of subscribers. Folks, thanks so much for watching. This has been episode 87 of the Free For All Pod. We'll see you back here next week where Chad is expected to be back in studio for episode number 88. Start thinking. A lot of Cowboys have worn that number 88. A lot of good ones as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here next week on the Free For All.